smoking too, sipping and roasting. Yeah, that's what we do. Set 'em up, knock 'em down, make that cherry glow. Whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne.
Cheers, y'all.
That sounds like a party about to happen, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. We are glad to have you here for show number 358. Chris Morris is our guest, and he has done the math.
We are halfway to 500.
There we go. Very nice. It's nice to have all of you on board. Chris Morris, as I said, is our guest. He is our Smokin' and Toastin' cocktail expert and good friend of the show. And we're going to talk holiday cocktails today, among other things. But it's always fun to have you on the show. Chris, who was mic checking, just want everyone to know, when Chris was mic checking, just before we got started, what he kept saying into the microphone was, "I love Alan Denny." That's what he kept saying into the mic. So
I was actually saying I love the Grand Slam at Denny's.
But it was coming out funny.
Yeah, slightly defective, but that's fine.
All right, so before we get the show started, and we're all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, and before we kind of officially jump in, I have a hypothetical question, and you guys seem like two good people to pose this to. Has nothing to do with drinking or smoking cigars.
I'm always down for a hypodermic question.
All right, so here's the hypodermic question. So you know how on so many freeways you'll be headed for an exit, or there's a particular part of the road that you're driving on that narrows from, let's say, 2 lanes to 1, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you're in the line. You know where you need to go. You've already got your drive plan, mapped out in your head. You know you need to be in the lane that it merges to because you got to go that direction. So you get in that line, and of course it's really slow, stop and go while you wait to get through. The cars beside you keep zooming in and cutting into the line in front of you and want to get right in front of you, and then you have to decide whether you're going to let them in or not. My question to you guys is, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do. I have opinions on this.
Which is it better to be? Is it better to be the, let's face it, jerk who comes in, either doesn't have a drive plan at all and realizes too late, or does have a drive plan and just doesn't care they're going to weasel in front of somebody? Is it better to be that guy because you don't wind up having to wait in line and you assert your dominance and you move on with your day with less delay than the other guy? Or is it better to be the guy who has the drive plan, who gets in the right lane, but then has a tendency to be taken advantage of by people who may not be as, fair thinking as he? In other words, is it better to be the a-hole or the chump, I guess is my question. Which do you think?
It depends on the lane situation. Let me explain.
Okay.
If it is 2 lanes merging into one, then what you have is a zipper situation,
right,
where you should
left, right, left, right.
Left, right, left, right.
100%. 100%.
If it is a single lane that's not merging and then everyone is running up towards the end right where it's going to turn off and then getting in, that's the a-hole situation.
Okay, so let me give you a more specific example, because this is what happened to me today, which made me think of this.
Are you talking about 610?
Talking about 610.
And 59?
Right. You can get in the 2 far right lanes. The one furthest to the right goes north.
Yes, and it's only 1 lane.
And it's only merge. 1 lane. There's no merge. And the one next to it goes south once you get off onto 610, right? But I was needing to go north, and I was in the very slow-moving north lane.
Right.
People were zipping past in the south lane, but then cutting in.
See, that's the a-hole situation.
Okay.
I have the objectively correct answer to this, which is it is better to be the chump because I have plenty of times, and I am enjoying my time in my car catching up on back episodes of the podcast internationally known as Smokin' and Toastin'.
Oh, see? Now,
good answer.
It is a good answer, and he does have a point. The point basically is it's better to just be the guy that doesn't commit, let's say, the wrong, if you want to put it that way. The guy who cuts in probably doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. He just thinks he's important enough.
He thinks he's clever.
He thinks he's clever. He thinks he's important enough that he's going to do it. And in some ways he is clever because he takes advantage of the people who've actually been in that lane doing what they're supposed to do. I guess where I struggle with it is, in order for it to be okay to be the guy in the lane listening to the podcast and enjoying it, and in order for it has to not get you hot and bothered, right?
It's not personal.
Right. If you can go, oh, well, that's just the way it is, and kind of maintain happiness, maintain peace, then I think that's the better guy to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think having lived in Houston for over 30 years, I'm just kind of accustomed to it, so I just kind of leave time in my day that
so that's kind of how it is,
traffic's
right?
going to back up. And so, like, if you want to be narcissistic and self-important and stress your life out over it, that's fine.
Now,
I'm just sitting here chilling. I got a place to be.
But
I'll get there.
I will mention this. Even that guy who's completely in touch with his inner zen and is tooling along just having a great time and it doesn't matter, even that guy will be put to the test trying to pick someone up at George W. Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston.
There is that.
Yeah, that will put even the most patient.
Because the moment you pause to pick that person up, there's now a security person telling you to move.
Yeah, exactly. And if you move, you've got to spend the next 45 minutes redoing the loop that you just did to get back in. So
yeah, I mean, that's fair. I live on the south side. So, I'm a hobby truther.
Hobby's the way to go, man.
Yeah, so definitely. And then on my way home, 45 branches off of 59.
Yeah.
And it's 4 lanes. So you got 2 lanes that are backed up solid going north on 45. Mm-hmm. You got 2 lanes that are supposed to be going south on 45.
And they're not solid.
And the third lane, one of them gets completely backed up by all the people trying to cut in, like you said. And then my favorite is the farthest right lane gets backed up by the people who think they're more clever than the people that are cutting into that line. And they're going all the way up to the top and stopping all 4 lanes of traffic.
Yep, exactly. Well, all of these moral dilemmas make me want to drink, and on today's show, we're going to do plenty of that. In fact, Chris Morris, who is our resident cocktail expert and bartender for the show, has not only come on with some exciting cocktails for us for the holidays, but he has also brought today's mystery beverage. And I see Ian
it smells fruity,
sniffing it with a look of perplexity on your face.
Citrus fruity.
It does smell citrus fruity. Rooty, tooty, fresh, and fruity, perhaps. Let's.
It doesn't taste like it smells. It sort of.
Ooh.
Oh, that's not what I expected.
Not at all.
It's
so it tastes exactly as I expected.
Yeah, but you knew what it was. So is this a cinnamon?
Unless you didn't look when you were pouring it.
Is this a cinnamon schnapps?
It is not.
See, that's what it really tastes like to me. Because used to back in the day, when I was like DJing in nightclubs and stuff, we would always do shots of
and Jaeger and
either shots of like Rumplemint's or shots of
Goldschlager.
With beers, but at least
the fire and ice if you were poor in college.
At least the peppermint schnapps left your breath minty fresh if you were.
So this is like a cinnamon.
Had a chance of getting lucky.
This is like a cinnamony. Is this like a Christmassy?
You are in the ballpark. Yes,
it's like a cinnamon liqueur of some sort.
And so this is straight from a bottle. You didn't. This
is straight from the bottle.
A bottle or can, I suppose.
The bottle is now empty.
Okay,
you have the last of this.
All right. So I actually like it in about the same way that I like Rumplemint's or which is
Jaeger.
On about that. See, Jaeger's its a whole other thing. Yeah. You can get me with your minty liqueur, but fermented beets, that's not for me. Fermented cabbage, that's not for me. Sorry, just not.
So Jaeger, like I don't do shots anymore. I gave that up years ago, and I realized that anytime you're drinking whiskey, if you do a shot, everything tastes bad. Mm-hmm. However, Jaeger, not being whiskey, of course, is the opposite. Like if you try to just sip it, it's real bad.
See, that's the thing. If the alcohol is bad enough, shots are better because they just get it over with quicker.
There's that.
That's just exactly it. But so what are we dealing with here?
We are dealing with
the big reveal is what we call this.
The big reveal.
The big Golden Bachelor reveal.
3 Olives limited edition eggnog vodka.
Eggnog vodka. Wow. I would never.
So you just mix up some eggs and some nogs and toss this in there. And you're good.
We were on a river Airbnb for I believe our anniversary a couple of years back, and we ran out of alcohol. We planned poorly, so I just find the only liquor store in a 10-mile radius, and on the shelf I see limited edition eggnog vodka, and I'm a simple man. I see interesting thing. I buy interesting thing.
So, do you like this?
I think it definitely has. It is nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be when I first bought it.
I'll go with you on that. There's some of the flavored vodkas that I look at on the shelf, and I think
Can I say
who thought we needed
this
that?
is way better than like almost any.
I'm sure, like if I sat down and like did some work on this and like really thought about it, you could turn this into like a really delicious,
a really good cocktail of sorts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's got some of that like. Well, I'll say it has flavor. That's for sure.
And it's coming in at 30%.
I kind of like it.
Have you ever?
I'm not like it like I'm going to go out and buy a bottle.
Yeah.
But like it like I'm enjoying it.
If I saw this, I would buy it because I think my wife would find it very interesting. She would do it. She'd find a way to make it really fun.
Yeah, like instantly, I'm like, you know what? Like I would drink this with some like pineapple juice. Well, like accents that like creaminess. You're like, it's.
Now, have you ever tried it with eggnog?
No, we've only done shots of this.
Okay.
I have a bottle of horseradish infused vodka.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Have you ever tried it with horseradish?
There's only one application for that.
Yeah, that's Bloody Marys.
And that's it. Yeah, there's like you can't do anything else with
I'm
that.
not a fan of the
You
horseradish.
don't want to do shots of that either.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of horseradish flavor, but I just want to point out that Chris brought this bottle. Hold that up, Ian. Yeah, he's only done shots from that. So I just want to point out that's a lot of
2 days ago.
That's a lot of shots. Yeah. So fascinating stuff. Well, welcome to the program. We are going to be tasting some holiday cocktails on the show today. We'll also be tasting some beers that I brought along from Phase 3 Brewing, their Mexican style lager from Parish Brewing Company. Really excited about this.
Parish make good stuff.
Yeah, so they make Ghost in the Machine, which is probably the first or second best IPA in the world.
It's pretty fantastic.
It's really, really good. And they've now turned it into a double. Today we'll be trying the Holy Ghost double IPA.
Okay, so interesting.
You do love me.
Yeah.
Because the Lone Pint makes their double
They make a double Yellow Rose,
and
which is also on that
really good
list of the 1 or 2 best IPAs in the world. So
one can I left at my house.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'll be right over. And then also from Blanco, Texas, from Real Ale Brewing Company, we'll be trying their Black Quadrupel Ale today on the program.
I love that.
Yeah, so I figured you would like that. Plus, we'll tell you about some cigars to watch for. New ruling has been introduced on the premium cigar and FDA front. We'll tell you about that. And, of course, we'll be bringing you the most popular segment on this program. It's a little thing we call Drinking News. And today's Drinking News teaser headline: It's not such a small world after all. And we'll be getting to that coming up. It's a shame Docs isn't here, by the way. Anytime there's anything even vaguely Disney themed, I almost wish Docs was here because he and his wife are big Disney fans. You remember when we were over at his house, they've got that big Disney Christmas display. Remember that we saw?
Yeah. Did you go upstairs to see his train set?
Yes, pretty
outrageous.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Wait, Docs of the train set?
Yeah, and all Disney themed.
I'm at the same time surprised and not surprised at all.
Exactly. There are some things
He's
in
a
the world.
complicated man.
Some things in the world that just follow, right? Yeah. But Doc's done that thing where, he's made the nerd kid cool. Like, I guarantee you when he was a kid, he was the nerd and, like, got teased and stuff. But he's come out on top in the long run.
I would have given young Docs a wedgie. Without question.
A swirly.
I thought you wanted to give current Docs a wedgie. Didn't you say that?
I treat him nice because he brings me rum and cognac.
Okay, yeah. Plus, he's a good guy. Even if he didn't come bearing gifts, he's a good guy. So we enjoy having him on the program. Our good friend Andrew Doxakis. That's an inside joke from when we had him on the show last, if you missed it. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to get to our cigar reviews coming up, and we're going to start talking beer. We're going to start talking holiday cocktails and see if we can't talk Chris out of another little pour of that eggnog flavored 3 Olives vodka. Coming up, it's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Our guest, Mr. Chris Morris, our celebrity bartender. And Ian, did you have the opportunity to smoke anything interesting this week?
I picked up a Plasencia 151.
Oh, 151.
Yeah, so they put these out once in a while, and it celebrates the 151st harvest that they've had since 18-something. which is pretty awesome. This was a 5 3/4 by 46 Corona Gorda. It's a Honduran Burro. The appearance on this espresso, dark espresso in color on the outside, somewhat veiny, oily, leathery, firm feel overall. 2 bands plus a footer on it. Looks really nice. You see it in the picture right here. The pre-light sniff on this rich earth and coffee. The pre-light draw, I used a punch, had a medium draw on it, coffee and sweet floral notes coming through on the pre-light draw. The initial light blast of bold coffee and spicy earth, followed by an underlying sweetness with notes of chocolate and pecan. Retrohale is cinnamon and wood with a touch of spice. The first third of this coffee and mocha set the pace, closely followed by chocolate and fruity notes. Full flavor profile right off the bat with massive plumes of dense, flavorful smoke. The retrohale is sweet coffee, pecan, cinnamon, solid ash, perfect burn. Plasencia, man.
Yeah. Going on.
The second third of this, more pecan and cinnamon, sweet dark fruit and brownie batter, all under the umbrella of bold coffee. The retrohale is oak coffee and cinnamon, solid ash, perfect burn. The last third of this, smoke rings. There's a picture of me blowing smoke rings right here.
Nice.
Oak and brownie batter with coffee and cinnamon and pecan. It's all these same things just keep swirling around all throughout this cigar. If you're into a full-flavored cigar, buy this. It's so good. Retrohales, oak, sweet coffee, and cinnamon, solid ash, perfect burn. I paid $13 for this thing.
Yeah.
That's a premium cigar.
Yes, it is.
I give it a 6. It was
nice.
Outrageously good. It burned perfect.
Awesome. Well, I want to talk to you today about something a little different. Most cigars have names that evoke Latin American culture, right? La Aroma de Cuba, Arturo Fuente, Joya de Monterrey, La Gloria Cubana, et cetera, et cetera. But not all companies go that route when naming their cigars. When Foundry Cigars, which is a rather upstart young company that's really beginning to make a mark for themselves in the cigar market, when they decided to name this one, they didn't go with anything with a la in it or anything that sounded distinctly Cuban. Instead, they went with Chillin Moose.
Chillin Moose.
Chillin Moose.
El Moose Frio.
You can see the namesake moose on the cigar band if you look closely. It's black on gray, so it's a little hard to see up here. But what I found a little odd is that the eyes are glowing red. To me, it looks a little more like possessed moose than Chillin Moose. But hey, who am I to judge, right? The Chillin Moose Corona uses a blend of Nicaraguan, Dominican, U.S. broadleaf, and Mexican San Andres tobacco beneath an Ecuadorian Sumatra binder and a Connecticut Habano Rosado wrapper. So interesting tobacco, for sure. The pre-light sniff on this was fairly mild. Slight cocoa note, a hint of something spicy on the nose, along with hay and aged tobacco. I used a punch, and I lit the moose up and definitely did not get a Nicaraguan pepper blast. In fact, everything stayed pretty mellow right from the beginning. Light grassy note, hints of cocoa, and a hard-to-define spiciness, maybe paprika. I don't know. I'm not good sometimes at differentiating my spices like I should be. It was savory rather than sweet. Pleasant, not too strong, and just interesting enough to keep you going. Now, one thing I noticed was the difference in the mouthfeel of the smoke. You know how you describe some smoke of some cigars as being big and kind of chewy? This moose was the opposite of that.
Oh.
It was much thinner. It wasn't bad necessarily. I just happened to notice that it wasn't that big sort of beefy smoke
no big
mouthfeel.
fluffies.
Not a lot of change in flavor in the second third. Some baking spice, a hit of chocolate, grass, and hay. Pleasant, but not necessarily blowing me away. And the final third brought notes of cedar and some creaminess. Overall, the flavors in the Chillin Moose didn't change a whole lot dramatically as it smoked, but a few new things kind of came and went. Strength was mild to medium bodied. Construction was quite good. Great news about the Chillin Moose. It's actually not fair to compare it to an Oliva or my father or an AJ. It's not a $15 smoke or a $10 smoke or even an $8 smoke. The Foundry Chillin Moose in the Corona size, less than $4. $3.80 at Cigars International. Less if you get a whole box. So, Foundry's Chillin Moose, despite the way the moose on the band seemed like it kept watching me while I smoked it, price to quality, a 6.
Nice.
And we'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Yes.
In the beginning.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer. Oh, that sounds good. Craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. If you were listening on the podcast version of the show, you might want to just like roll it back and hear that beer pouring. That was just a wonderful sound. A little bit buried into the music, which happens, but that's all right. We got it. Quick question for you, gentlemen. Name something that Texas and Pennsylvania have in common that has to do with cigars.
Cigars International?
Yeah, that's a good guess. And in fact, that's what I was going for. Texas and Pennsylvania seem to be in a competition to see which one can have the most Cigars International retail stores.
Oh, wow. We got 3 that I know of.
Ian and I did a broadcast from one of them from Conroe, Texas. And honestly, it was awesome. I was very impressed.
We will win. We have a lot more real estate.
Texas has Cigars International locations in the Colony, Conroe, Fort Worth, Katy, and San Antonio. And in Philadelphia, or in Pennsylvania, rather, there are 2 in Bethlehem, one downtown, one outside of town. I think that's where Cigars International is from.
Right.
There's one in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. There's one in South Fayette, Pennsylvania. And there's about to be another one in Pittsburgh. They just announced they're building a Cigars International store in Pittsburgh. So on the one hand, I have this, love for the little mom and pop stores, or the ones, even if they're not mom and pop, ones like Stogie's that get out there and just like slug it out and fight with the big boys. But on the other, Cigars International stores are so well done. They really are. They really are.
Well, they do it like around here. They do it with a full bar and everything. So that's a nice draw for it. There's a difference. A lot of the places we go that are the mom and pop stores will allow you to bring in whatever you want to drink,
and it could be
which is also a nice thing.
Yeah, it could be, by the way, that not all of the stores have bars, because it may have to do with the laws in the places laws, where they are, or it could be that they're only building them in places where they can have bars as well. So that'd be something to try. You know what I really want to go to is it called Fire? That's Rocky Patel's place in Florida,
in Miami, right?
In Miami, I think. And there was. For a while, there were whispers that he was going to build one in the greater Houston area, but I don't think it ever came to pass.
That would be awesome.
That would really be awesome. I would support you, Rocky. Go for it.
That's right.
Go for it. Well, you're watching and listening to Smoking and Toasting. I want to say a big shout out to New Orleans, by the way. We are on the air in New Orleans now, and that's a really cool thing.
That's pretty exciting, right?
Yeah, and we're going to have to plan a road trip for next year to go and celebrate in New Orleans. Can you imagine doing an entire show on location in New Orleans?
Oh, that would be a blast.
You think we're tipsy by the end of the show here. It would be just out of control in the very best possible way. Ian, we heard you open the beer. What did you pour us today?
So this is the Phase 3 Brewing Company Mexican style lager.
So we've had a number of good beers from these guys on the show. We've had other lagers, and we had a double dry hopped IPA that was really nice too. But this is their Mexican style lager, and it's almost getting to the point of the year that people stop drinking Mexican style lagers and go for other styles, except here where we live in Texas, where we continue to drink them at least when we're having Mexican food.
Well, that's because in the winter
we do year round. So.
Well, in the winter here in Texas, when you wake up in the morning and it's freezing cold at 46 to 52 degrees, and then in the afternoon,
and you go, "Damn, it's cold."
In the afternoon, the sun comes out and it's 70.
Yeah.
And then by evening, it's back down again. So I don't think Mexican style lagers go out.
Yeah,
style here at all.
Probably not here. And even if
go great with tamales.
Yeah, I was gonna say even if they did, if you had tamales, or if you had a plate of enchiladas,
this is really nice.
I do like this too.
There's some really nice Mexican style lagers out there, especially made here in Houston area. This is really nice. This is a good job.
It's got just that. I don't know how to describe or put a label on that flavor, but if I were tasting this blind, I would say that's a Mexican lager. Like it's got that Mexican lager taste to it. Yeah,
I feel like this would be a good gateway too for someone who wanted to try a craft beer, but really doesn't want to try anything too outrageous.
Right, but if you can drink a Tecate or a Dos Equis, this could be a step in the quality direction.
I'm amazed if you can choke down some of those. You would think you would have to like these.
I think I'm just spoiled by so many incredibly well-made Mexican-style lagers that this one just isn't really hitting for me.
Really? Okay, so what's missing? What's missing for you?
The best thing about this is it's 5.5%, which is great.
As opposed to 4.5.
Yeah, as opposed to 4.5 or 4. There's always this sort of little bit of bitterness or funkiness that is so trademark in that Mexican style. And here it kind of misses for me, and like the finish is just kind of thin. It would make a really great gateway beer for somebody who's coming from like macros and wants to try something. I think they would enjoy this, but I think I'm just spoiled by how many really great Mexican style lagers we have actually brewed.
True, not only Scout.
Exactly. That one,
so good.
That one is wonderful. And to be fair, we're not tasting this up alongside it, but I didn't necessarily find anything missing. In fact, as soon as I had my first couple of sips of this, I immediately wanted a plate of fajitas.
and to give them credit, they're from Illinois, which is nowhere close to Mexico. So.
That's true. And
maybe a squeeze of lime gives me like that extra bitterness and like that little bit of like depth that I'm missing. But
I never harm lime when I'm drinking beer.
Yeah, no limes are harmed during the drinking sessions. That's for sure. Except if it's margaritas. Then you go for it.
Yeah, then limes
you
get murdered.
Gotta have the fresh squeezed lime in a margarita. And I'll give you a hint, which Chris, cover your ears because this will probably just be, run against everything that you believe. But if you are making margaritas with a margarita mix, a good way to make that actually work is use a margarita mix, but still squeeze at least half of a lime into your margaritas.
I'm leaving.
I'm just saying it'll help.
Don't forget to double the tequila.
Well, that's the most important thing. Yes, yeah. If the drink recipe on the side of the bottle that you get of the pre-made margarita mix says 1 part tequila, 2 parts that, just flip it. Flip it. That will work better. I promise.
I've gotten pretty spoiled on margaritas. Unless it's a nice fresh margarita, I just generally am not that interested in it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, I will say I'm a little spoiled as well. It's gotten to the point now that not always, but sometimes, if my wife and I are someplace and she orders a margarita, she will wind up looking at me and saying, it's not as good as yours. And to me, that just, because I am not a good drink mixer at all. So when she says that, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about right there. Who's the man? But I should not brag about my skills making drinks when we've got a Chris Morris in the room because this guy knows what's going on. I like this. I see no issue.
It's like telling Mario Andretti you like to weave in and out of traffic.
So his name, if you think of it, is synonymous with, like, if you want to come up with a name for that illustration, it's going to be Mario Andretti.
Yes.
It's not going to be any of the NASCAR guys. It's not going to be any of the, it's going to be him. He's the one who became synonymous with all of that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in the modern age, you might say Max Verstappen, but he's always in front, so he doesn't have to worry about traffic.
No traffic to deal with.
That's for sure.
And whatever happened to Dick Trickle?
Oh, that was the greatest name in racing history. Actual real name of a NASCAR racer. Yes, you're right. And you had to say it serious. Like those commentators, they always had to go on there and say it seriously. You know?
Oh, right. It's
Dick Trickle's leading the pack.
you got to know there's some good, like, off mic tape rolling around somewhere of those guys making good jokes about that they can't do on the air. That's great. A couple of cigars to watch for. You might want to be on the lookout for Boliche Boulevard. It's big, it's limited, and it has a retail price of $12.99, which is about as much as the West Tampa Tobacco Company is willing to disclose about its newest cigar called Boliche Boulevard, which already is showing up in cigar shops. Tampa locals will recognize the name. It's a reference to Columbus Drive, which is a major east-west road in the Florida city that's known for its Cuban and Latino restaurants. Boliche is a Cuban pot roast, a hearty dish of round beef stuffed with ham and often served with a side of rice. It isn't fancy, but it's a part of the sort of common Cuba culinary tradition.
It sounds delicious.
So the cigar was... Well, they aren't giving us much of the blend details other than confirming that the tobacco itself was purchased from the Oliva Tobacco Company. And at 6x60, the cigars come in 50-count boxes and are produced in Nicaragua and at a location that's partly owned by Oliva. So only 500 boxes being produced. Might be something to look for. See if your cigar store will open one of those 500-count boxes and let you, or sorry, 50-count boxes. Sorry, and let you try one at a time because it's really hard for me to go all in on a 50-count box of something I've never tried.
There
before,
is that.
There
is that.
probably going to be good. What was the name of the Plasencia that you had?
The 151.
Okay, so that's
Cosecha.
Cosecha.
Yeah, that's
Cosecha 151. It was originally planned for an August release, but it is at retailers now. Ian had one and reviewed it and really liked it. According to the Plasencia family, the 151 is made with Honduran tobacco from their 151st harvest, like you mentioned, which took place in 2016 and 2017. They say that particular growing season produced a banner crop in Honduras.
It's a
So
great
it's one of the
cigar.
reasons that they do that. This is the third brand in their Cosecha series. There was the 146, which came out in 2017. That's no longer made, and it was followed by the 149 in 2021, and now the 151. So just to say that cigar that Ian loves so much, that's available now, but it will be for a limited time. So if you want one,
and they have it at 3 sizes too.
if you want one, go out and grab it. Chris, what are you springing on us next? I see you've got something. It looks cold and delicious. And by the way, I love your Cobra Head stirring stick. What do you officially call the stirring stick?
Bar spoon.
Bar spoon.
Bar spoon.
Bar spoon. Okay. I thought a bar spoon was what I used to eat the food they served at the bar, but I had no idea it was a special thing. Could I have some napkins and a bar spoon, please, for the soup?
The bartender may look at you funny.
Yeah, I think so. So I'm sure you'll tell us what you got wrapped up in all of this, but it looks just absolutely delicious. Now, is this this is a special holiday cocktail? Is that
Yeah,
right?
this is a little gingerbread old fashioned.
Oh, I like this idea already.
I told my wife was coming on, and she's like, "You should do a gingerbread syrup and make an old fashioned." I'm like, "That's a really good idea."
All right, we'll pass these around.
Turns out she's the actual creative bones in the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, like relatively simple.
That smells so good.
Yeah, real simple cocktails. So this is Dickel Bourbon 8-year, fantastic base for spirits, doesn't break the bank. And then
This is like 35-ish a bottle, and it is so good on its own.
It's a super high quality spirit. It mixes cocktails incredibly well. So the syrup here is just 2 parts brown sugar to water dissolved in. Once that's all nice and silky smooth, add in some freshly cut ginger, little cinnamon, some allspice, and some clove, and just kind of let that sit there and hang out and infuse for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I finished it off with
Little bitters.
this is an old bottle of Bergen Hock, which is Bitter Truth now. I figured it would make sense because this was given to me as a holiday present from a regular of mine years ago. Recreation of an 1860s recipe, but you can use classic Angostura. Just 1 dash in there. There's already all this cool baking spice going on. Just want a little bit of texture.
Yeah. Okay. And this is most definitely gingerbread on the finish. It's delicious up front on the palate. You really get the gingerbread, that gingerbread cookie vibe.
Yeah.
After you have actually swallowed, the finish is lingering.
The bourbon flavor in here is so good too. It's so part of the drink, you know. It's just
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, bourbon has that, like, I really like bourbon for my old fashioned. A lot of people like rye. I tend to think the spiciness of rye is better for like a Manhattan where you have all the herbs coming off of the vermouth. I like the natural sweetness of bourbon for old fashions because you're already adding some like sweet stuff to it.
Right.
You're already getting all that like caramel and vanilla. So we're bringing in all these holiday spices. I think bourbon's the way to go. But it's super versatile. You can add a little bit of this into, and you could chuck some of this in your margarita with fresh lime and orange liqueur.
Well, no, I'm totally with you. I wasn't in any way trying to imply that it was just as good to use margarita mix. I'm just saying that fresh lime is a way to make, if that's what you're doing, you add some fresh lime, it'll be better. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure it would, yeah.
There's nothing like offending a purist. It's the most awesome thing ever, right? Yeah. Sometimes I do it.
His body language is awesome too. You kind of start putting the shoulder towards you.
I'm not offended. You're the one that has to drink it.
Sometimes I do it. Sometimes I do it just to be piss people off.
Don't get me wrong. If I'm at a Tex-Mex restaurant and they've got frozen margarita, I'm not going to sit here and question how it's made. I'm just going to drink it. It's okay.
Exactly.
There's a time and a place for everything.
But see, it is fun though to
this is a internationally known podcast
but
with esteemed palates. We are better than that.
Understand how fun it is to yank people's chain, though. Can you imagine going on to like a Star Wars podcast and going, well, Star Wars is okay, but really Star Trek is the better show. That's the kind of stuff I like to do, right? Just cause trouble.
So this has nothing to do with cocktails, but when I played a lot of poker and it was my second job, you find ways to entertain yourself at the table. And anytime there was anyone British at the table, we go, hey, what's your favorite Beatles song? And they'd say something, and I'm like, I think mine's No Sympathy for the Devil.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like bringing up margarita mix with you in the room. I absolutely love it. We got to take a break, and we will return. It's Smoking and Toasting. Please allow me to introduce myself. Coming up. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. It's show number 358, which puts us exactly...
halfway to 400, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm still enjoying sipping on this cocktail that Chris poured us in the last segment. This is your gingerbread old-fashioned, right?
Yes.
And we'll go through the ingredients. Like, how do you make this again for people who have heard us rave about it but may not have been ready to remember everything that you did? So,
yeah, sure. So I like bourbon for old-fashions. The sort of sweetness that you get from the corn, I think, matches particularly all the baking spices we're making here. So we have Dickel 8. The syrup itself, 2 parts brown sugar to water. Get the water nice and hot. Don't take it all the way to a boil. Slowly add it in. Dissolve it. Once it's all dissolved, nice, silky smooth. Add in some fresh ginger, just cut pretty roughly. Some cracked cinnamon sticks, some allspice berries, some clove. Just literally like run out to H-E-B, spend $10, makes like a bunch of syrup.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then, so just 2 parts of that, a quarter ounce of the syrup. It doesn't take much. It's really intensely flavored. Brown sugar in particular, nice, big, and punchy. And then just a dash of bitters. I used this Bergen Hawk, which is Bitter Truth now. It was a gift from a regular of mine years ago. You can use Angostura. It's going to just give you some more cinnamon, some more clove.
It kind of does it bring those flavors out, or does it actually have those flavors?
It has those flavors in it. Angostura I find to be really heavy on the clove, but it's all about like the bittering elements. There's a mouthfeel. We describe bitters in cocktails as like our salt and pepper. Right. So like if you make a Manhattan and you leave the bitters out, it's gonna taste fine, but there's gonna be just something missing. Just the same as like if you don't like you can cook a beautiful steak to the perfect temperature, but if it's not seasoned and you don't get that crust just right, it just doesn't hit the same way. Bitters are very much the same. That's kind of our salt. That's our spice cabinet, if you will.
Okay, I love it. Well, thanks for going back through that, because I think understanding how to make these cocktails is and by the way, if you're like me, don't be afraid to do it and get better as you go. Because like the first cocktails that I made, the first time I made a vodka gimlet, it was okay, right?
I mean, it's
now
literally no
gimlets
different.
Are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than cooking. Like the first time you do it, you're gonna make hopefully a passable version of it. You're gonna practice a little bit. You're gonna get it right. Like nobody makes the perfect French omelet on the first try, or like
except for Julia Child, she would do that. And
no,
it would
like
be perfect
so. Weirdly enough, I wrote basically an essay on this the other day. So like part of what made Julia Child so great on The French Chef was we didn't have the editing capabilities back in the day. So all of her mistakes and all of her gaffes and all of her like sort of mistakes were on display, and it gave like humanity to what she was doing. And then of course she had that worldly voice that made it all like so much better.
But that's why people liked
I can't tell if that was
because
Julia Child or Mickey Mouse.
It was kind of like a combination. If Mickey and Julia had a child, that's what they would sound like. So.
That was a little scary.
But no, I've been watching the HBO series Julia. It's actually quite good.
It's fantastic,
and I'm really been enjoying it. But just from watching that, assuming it's somewhere close to the real life story, you
very much was.
You learned that it was her realness that people liked, and so what you said about making the mistakes and keeping them in the program was part of what made people like this. And this, I've really taken to heart because I think people are going to love Smoking and Toasting.
Right.
Because we make lots of mistakes. And they just stay right here in the show.
They're recorded.
Yeah, they're right here.
We don't edit them out.
There is no fix it in post, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So the only thing we have to fix is now that we're on broadcast radio, we have to have Adam in the Cloud, our producer, fix it whenever we have Chris Hart on and he drops the F-bomb.
So like going back to cocktails, right? Like whatever your favorite cocktail is, whether it's margarita, whether it's daiquiri, old fashioned, like just learn how to make it the classic way. And once you have like the bones in place, then you can just kind of just play with it, tweak it a little bit. This is the exact same recipe with like that I would make in a restaurant for a classic old fashioned, just with a different bitters and a different syrup.
And I love the subtlety of this. It just it doesn't just like punch you in the face. It's just nice and easy to drink, and yet you can tell that you're drinking a quality cocktail.
It's not only that, but it's an old fashioned with a twist, so to speak. It's really kind of nice. I can almost see this garnished with like a little peppermint stick.
Well, yeah, I like it. Make it even more holiday-y.
If there wasn't so much wood and flammable material in here, I'd probably take like an orange peel and like a match and like kind of flame those oils over the top. But
love that.
I would like to see the show continue and not burn down your wonderful studio.
And
here.
we appreciate that. For those of you who are on one of our radio affiliates who only take the first hour of the show, this is our time to bid you adieu and remind you that you can check out the second hour at YouTube. Smoking and Toasted on YouTube is a good place to get it, and wherever you get your podcast.
Also, for Josh and Bruce, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Yeah, we'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. What was that thing that dropped right at first? That was awesome. Oh, okay. I didn't see that. Love it. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting, hour number 2 on show number, what did I say it was? 358.
It's easy. It's halfway to 400.
Halfway to 400.
Divide 400 by
do
2,
the math.
358.
You just do the math. So this is going to be, I feel like a momentous occasion for us here on Smoking and Toasting, because I'm all in on IPAs. I love IPAs. I like almost all of them. I love the different varieties of them. You almost can't get too hoppy for me. Ian is kind of the other end of the spectrum. He likes only IPAs that have a certain
It's got to be a real good, really balanced IPA.
So it's always interesting.
I'm Goldie Hops. I'm the balance of all of it.
Okay, so it's always interesting when Ian and I agree.
Too much? Not enough?
Yeah, just right. But it's always interesting when Ian and I agree on an IPA, and there have been a number of them, but fewer. I would say we agree on fewer IPAs than we disagree on. Would you say that's accurate?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay. So both of us are big fans of course, the Lone Pint Yellow Rose, and both of us are enormous fans of Parish Brewing out of Broussard, Louisiana. Their IPA, it's a hazy.
You've just named Ghost 2 of the greatest IPAs out there.
Right, and we both feel that way.
Yeah.
So I say all of that as background for the fact that we're now about to try Parish Brewing's attempt to go a little further with their IPA. This one is what they call on their website a mind-melting double IPA. They call it Holy Ghost, and let me read you what it says on their website about this particular brew. It says, "Prepare to receive thy hoppy grace, Holy Ghost."
I can smell this just passing it around.
It's pretty outrageous right out of the...
Witness the powerful notes of intense fresh tropical fruit, grapefruit, blackcurrant, and powerful dankness. I don't know if I've ever heard those two words used together like that. Powerful dankness.
I have, but it was a cop in West Texas, and he was talking about my car.
Yeah, what did for you?
Paper towel.
Oh, paper towel.
That's all right. Don't worry. It's not that big a deal.
Okay. It goes on to say it's brewed thick with oodles of oats and raw wheat and completely dry hopped to saturation with equal amounts of Nelson Sauvin, Galaxy, and Citra Cryo. Holy Ghost is a mind-melting 10% ABV encounter like none before. And these guys always get the benefit of the doubt from me, Parish Brewing, because they've done such a fantastic job.
This smells really, really good.
Yeah, so
you smell the pineapple.
You know how much we love Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah.
This would be its big brother. So it'll be interesting to see what you think. God, I love it on the nose.
Hark the hoppy angels sing.
Holy Ghost.
So the name reminds me a whole lot of.
This is
Eddie Izzard in his Dress to Kill, or I guess Susie Izzard now. Holy
Susie.
Ghost, Holy Ghost.
This is outrageous.
Yeah.
Like,
outrageously big, outrageously hoppy.
It's everything.
Yeah, it is. That's a good way to say it. It's outrageously everything.
This will wreck your palate for anything else you're going to have.
My understanding, and I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is that this may be a limited release. In other words, this is not something they're going to have out on the market all the time.
All right. So just for giggles, I took a sip of bourbon after I drank this.
I don't know how that would work.
It just tastes like barley water. You remember that?
That's how big this IPA is.
It is, in fact, massive.
It's crazy.
So it's interesting. They call this a double, and in reality, double IPAs are considered imperial, or imperials are usually in the same range as double. But for some reason, I always think of double as just a little bit lower than imperial, right? But this is one of the biggest IPAs I think I've ever had. Like, it's just
this
huge.
is up there. This is up there with Stone.
Yes.
Like some of their more outrageous IPAs and stuff like that.
Can we talk about how this can art is like a Morbid Angel album cover?
Oh yeah. Well, so Parish with their Ghost in the Machine obviously has the skull and the flowers and all of that. So this is almost like
this is the hop melting out of the skull's mind.
I love this. See, this is
pretty
just like,
amazing.
This is like reading comics when I was a kid, except it's drinking beer.
Yeah, this is way more fun.
Yeah, this is way more. I absolutely love this. Now, I will say though,
I mean, I would definitely drink this floating down the river.
yeah. See that? Okay, there you go. I was just about to say this to me is special occasion, right? This is not. This wouldn't be my everyday IPA. This
Why not?
I was just trying to imagine being like 10% IPA drunk on like the river. That sounds awful.
This is a 10% beer. You know, it really is. It's.
I mean, I would do it, but I'm not saying I wouldn't regret it later.
Everyone talks about like the summer beers and stuff like that. I'll drink a barley wine floating down the river. I don't care. And have done it before.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not like just making a claim.
There are witnesses.
This is backed up by actual experience. But just back to Holy Ghost, you got to get one of these and try it. You got to.
If you are an IPA fan, this is something special.
This is your holy grail, is what it is.
It's really something special.
No, it's the Holy Ghost.
The Holy Ghost.
It says it right there on the can.
Fair enough. I misspoke.
This is kind of like if you took the 90-minute and made it more. It's not 120-minute, which is a very different thing.
Yeah.
Right.
This is like if you took the 90-minute from Dogfish Head and just made it even more outrageous. And then made it incredible. Look how hazy this is. This is not even
that's what I was about to say. Like 120 minute is a wonderful beer, but it is not in any way, shape, or form juicy.
No.
You know, it is the antithesis of that. But this is like a juicy 120.
It kind of not quite as big, but I mean, I feel like if you poured that whole can into a glass, the glass would bulge a little bit. It's so big.
I can see that happening. I really can.
This is just massive.
Yeah.
There's a reason they had to put it in a can and not a glass bottle.
That's right.
You had to give it room to expand. Yeah. So it wouldn't burst on the shelf.
No, kudos to Parish. This is so good.
Yeah, definitely so. And I just want to go on record with this. I feel like breweries in the South, particularly in Texas, this brewery in Louisiana, do not get the same sort of gravitas as breweries either in the Northeast or on the West Coast. If you think about it, because of some of the great beer that has come out of the New England area over the years, out of Northern and Southern California, and out of Oregon and Washington State, I think there's a tendency to not recognize how great some of the craft breweries are in Texas by people who don't live here and Louisiana.
Parish Brewing is so good anyway.
Yeah.
And then we try a lot of Texas beers, obviously, because we're here in Texas.
Right.
But
most weeks, if we're trying three beers, we'll have Texas one beers. Of them probably is from Texas.
And wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this, you can probably get Shiner Bock, and it's a good beer, too.
Yeah, Texas beers are pretty readily available around the country, although there are some that really just focus on the state of Texas. St. Arnold comes to mind. Like they're a huge brewery in Texas, but they don't worry about trying to get their beers outside
they're considered mid-sized brewery
mid-sized brewery. In fact, they won mid-sized brewery of the year several years ago. So
yeah, I mean, anytime me and my wife travel, we always try and hit local breweries. We love finding like the local beer bars. So I've been very blessed to get to try like some of the iconic names, your Heady Toppers and your Lawsons and Pliny the Elders. Yeah. This is up there with some of the single best IPAs I've ever had.
I completely agree. People who are, waving their flag for Pliny or for Heady Topper, this is in that.
Yeah, I mean,
rarefied air.
Those are distinctly different styles. Those are more like piney, danky. This is one of the best, like particularly hazies. Like this is absolutely phenomenal.
They know what they're doing in Broussard, Louisiana, ladies and gentlemen. They really do. Brewbound, which is a great craft beer site, has announced their 2023 award winners and rising stars. They gave craft brewery of the year, and I'm gonna have to get us some beers from this place because I don't believe we've ever had any. They gave craft beer brewery of the year to Waitsfield, Vermont's Lawson's Finest Liquids, which I love the name. Lawson's Finest Liquids. Have you heard of that?
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Have you had that before?
I've had some of their stuff. Their most famous IPA, I believe, is Sip of Sunshine, which is incredible.
Yes, I see one in the photo here. They got Sip of Sunshine, Little Sip, Triple Sip, Hazy Rays. So they go for that sunshine theme. They
are very much deserving of all the press that they get.
Yeah. Large Brewery of the Year they gave to Athletic Brewing Company, and I will mention that Athletic has some of the non-alcoholic beers that we tried.
And very low alcohol beers.
Non-alcoholic beer.
Like they have a couple of them that are coming in at like 1% and 2%.
And I think they have a gluten-free too, don't they? If I'm not mistaken. The Beyond Beer Company of the year they gave to Beatbox Beverages. Didn't we have a Beatbox as one of our mystery beverages?
Yes.
It was in. It looks like kind of like a kid's juice box.
It was a pink had splat of pink all
lemonade.
Over it. Yeah, pink lemonade. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, they gained placements in 7-Eleven stores this year and launched a partnership with Avril Lavigne, and so they obviously are targeting the. Young disposable.
They're making things complicated.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. That's good. The beer champions of the year were the National Black Brewers Association's founding members. It was a much better year for black-owned breweries and black-operated breweries, at least in terms of them getting recognition. And the person of the year went to Garrett Marrero from Maui Brewing. He's the founder and CEO there. And they're rising stars. Now, these are the ones I'm almost the most interested in because these are the ones they're picking as they're going to be big, right?
Coming up big.
Yeah. Alvarado Street Brewery in Monterey, California. Big Grove Brewery in Iowa City, Iowa. Crowns and Hops Brewing in Inglewood, California. Doka Beer, which is spelled Dokkaebier in Oakland, California. Stateside Vodka in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Torch and Crown Brewing Company in New York City. And Trace Brewing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So none of these I'm familiar with at all. Are you?
No.
But I think they are going to be getting some real attention this year because Brewbound's a pretty credible site. So, but I'm so thrilled, Chris, that you have had beers from Lawson's Finest Liquids that you were able to, to be here to go, yep, it's good. You know what I mean? Instead of our just going, okay, looks. The cans are pretty.
Sounds delicious on print.
Yeah. So we'll do our best to try to get some of those in here in the months to come so we can taste them and talk about them for you. And also because we just want to taste them. Like we just want to taste more of this Holy Coast.
I like beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Parish, I'm beside myself with this Parish. Parish, the Ghost in the Machine is so good anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You remember before we could get it here on a regular basis, it was one of those cherished things where when someone bought a 6-pack coming through, everyone's like, "Hey, I got some of this." Yeah. That's how good that is.
Absolutely. Now you brought a beer you wanted to share as well, didn't you?
I did.
I want to do this in the next segment then.
Sure.
Okay. I'm really excited because it's fun choosing the beers to bring on the show, but it can be even more fun being surprised by somebody is in terms of
my Holy Ghost is showing its evaporative properties.
Yeah, I have noticed that it has a tendency to wreak havoc with the bottom of the cup.
That's right.
God has called the liquid back to its holy place.
The urinal is its holy place? I didn't know. I didn't know. That's
You went there.
I didn't realize. I knew it was a shrine of sorts, the porcelain fixture. However
People worship to it all the
That's
time.
true.
Do I feel sorry for those who only get the first hour of the show?
Look what
Just
we've
a few more
evolved to.
minutes and you would have got all this.
This is what and we haven't even gotten to drinking news, so we have that to look forward to. That is coming up, by the way. In addition to drinking news, we have a little more tasting to do, including a really big one from Real Ale Brewing called Black Quad. It's their quadruple ale. Chris has brought something he's going to lay on us here in just a couple of minutes, and I think we have. Are we going to drink some of your whiskey too?
Ian already did.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm already in it.
then I'm feeling way
I
behind.
don't think that's the spirit he was intending.
I still got a whole other cocktail to go. So.
I will catch up, and we'll be back with more. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back to Smoking and Toasting. Craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, and we are enjoying all of those things. Well, we're enjoying talking about the cigars. We're enjoying the beers and the spirits, and it's that kind of a day here on Smoking and Toasting.
He's getting it fired up.
Oh, nice and and then you have to. Okay, you got a little bounce from the mic cord, but that's okay. It was still good. Oh, now that's your cup. That's your
questions.
Yeah. Remind me not to challenge him to beer pong.
As he bounced the thing off the table, it went right into the cup.
Exactly.
Dude, I don't know what you're pouring, but that looks amazing.
It looks like maybe what I'm expecting this Real Ale Quadrupel to be. So I don't know if we're.
I don't know that you're going to be able to taste.
I think
the
that
real
quad
ale
is
after
going to be
this.
a little lighter in color than you expect it to be.
Could be. Let's see where
It
we're
is
going.
also delicious.
Here. Let's see where we're going here.
Yeah, so this is some Pennzoil.
Yes. I was gonna say, is this before or after the oil change?
After the oil
This
change.
looks beautiful.
Yeah, that's a little bit more. Yeah, we've gone to the other side of the table.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We've gone to the dark side, as
Wow,
it
it
were.
smells beautiful. I can't just stop it. It smells.
What are you laying on us here? Do you want to
It's-
tell us? Or you want us
So-
to taste first?
You can taste it. So this is one of the most iconic names in high gravity stouts.
Wow,
Goose
this
Island,
is-
Bourbon County brand stout.
Oh,
wow.
This is the 2013 release.
Now I thought these only come in the bigger bottles.
No, so they used to come in the 12
In the
ounces,
smaller
right.
bottles.
and then
Now they
only
do them in
the
the
and then they
Now
would
they
do
come
the
in
the
15.9,
limited
right?
editions would be in the bombers. But yeah, so this is 2013. This was the first year that Bourbon County came to Texas.
So
So it has been
yeah.
resting in my beer fridge carefully for the
This
last 10
is-
years.
I'm so
Wow.
honored that you
this
brought
has
this in for
stood
us.
the test of time.
Wow.
Well, and it
really
reminds
has.
me of, if you want to know what we mean when we say that a beer is boozy, this is the beer you want to taste because
Yes.
you
I feel
will
like-
understand
yes.
it. You know?
Yes.
I feel like
Th-
honestly,
this is a lowly 14.9%.
Yeah. Now, are you sure that it doesn't increase over the years as it's in your fridge?
I'm not a scientist. I poison people for a living.
Well, this is good, but it's big and it's boozy.
it's big and bold and sticky.
Sticky, yes. It's like
Sticky.
syrup.
It's super sticky.
You could put this on pancakes.
Yeah,
I'm convinced of it.
I was
Yeah.
going through the
If-
beer fridge, saw I had some 13 remaining. It's the holiday
Here's
season,
the
so
thing.
wanted to bring a little gift.
Here's the thing. This is
For some
old
of my
enough to
favorite
where
beer
you can
drinkers.
taste that it's starting to get a little soy sauce.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's not quite there yet.
But it's not there yet, and it's right at that
Right.
right at that edge. Where it's just
good.
right.
Totally good that you brought it in because if you'd waited until next year, I don't think it would have been as good. As Ian said, it's
It might
right
be.
on that
Yeah,
edge.
it might be getting there.
You know, we'll just have to bookmark it because I'm pretty sure I saw some 14 sitting right next to it.
I'm loving it. Well, we're going to do holiday cocktails every year. So.
So if you're ever wondering, what exactly is mouthfeel in a beer? This has all of the mouthfeel. This is all over the palate.
I have a question for you guys about these older releases like this. You said it's been in your refrigerator since what year?
2013.
So it's been in your refrigerator in 2013.
Look at the lip of this thing.
I showed up at Specs at like 6 a.m. I was hype beasting this. I stood in line. I got my variants. I got my case of Founders Breakfast Stout, which now I can just walk to HEB and buy.
Right.
Dude, I remember looking for Founders Breakfast Stout. Yeah, it was outrageously good.
And I can get like KBS at stores, like
Yeah,
usually the Kentucky Breakfast Stout.
But seriously, guys, how does that happen? There is no way I can put a beer in my beer fridge from 2014 or 2019 or 2022 for that matter.
It starts with
and have it survive. I will wind up drinking that beer.
It starts with the first side of this is you have to buy more than you can drink.
Yeah. So it's buying.
Same thing with like whiskey.
Yeah. So like this, I bought like a full case. So I bought 12 of these. And then like you drink like the first 6 and then you just keep lagers in front of it. Oh. Because we live in Texas. And so like it's summer 9 months out of the year. Right. So that's what I want is the lager. So if I want this, I have to dig deep to go grab it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I have started trying to do is whenever I can, if I'm buying like a barley wine or imperial stout or something that I want to bring on the show, what I do is I make sure I try to find a big bottle of it, like one of the big,
the bomber style
because
bottles,
then I'm less likely to open it up if it's just me at home doing the dishes, right? It was like, oh, no, this should be shared. It helps me.
This is not a doing the dishes beer.
For sure.
And also, this is not a floating down the river beer.
Yeah. I mean, I would drink this.
He would do it.
I know you would.
He would do it, and we'll be back. Drinking News is next. It's Smoking and Toasting.
Is that irreverent?
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars.
And whatever this thing that Chris just put on the town
I just would like to say, every now and then I wish that we were still back in the old days of the show where if you were watching us like on Facebook Live, you would get the in-between the segments stuff. Because while we were on break, Chris Morris, our cocktail expert, just said something that I hope we have this recorded because I will use it in the future. He said, and I'm quoting, "Call me pretty and give me Holy Ghost." And in reference to the IPA we just had. I love that. That's a new Smoking and Toasting slogan. Call me pretty and give me Holy Ghost.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Let's do it.
What is Mr. Thingy here?
Yeah.
So technically speaking, this is what's called a conga shaker.
Of course it is.
So this was something that William Grant and Sons, who do Monkey Shoulder, developed. Mm-hmm. And the idea was that you could put a lot of cocktails in here, and instead of having to shake this giant thing, you could just roll it like this.
I think I'm reminded of the words here of the great Gloria Estefan when she said, "Come on, shake your body, baby, to the conga."
Yeah, so I mostly just use it as a thermos this time. Well, because I have like 20 cocktail shakers at home.
Thermos.
Well, while you're thermosizing, let's get to a little drinking news, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, the segment of the program where we bring you songs that may or may not be about drinking, but are always best enjoyed if you've been drinking. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for drinking news.
It's all gone wrong. Oh my God.
There's a podcast all about cigars and booze. Hanging out every week with Ian and Cruz. For spirited discussion and cigar reviews.
I just hope the camera's getting all of that.
In the segment go around the world. It's drinking news.
Solely on him.
It's drinking news. It's what I love. Me and a Florida man and a bottle of rum. I'll pour another round. What do we got to lose? Let me tell you a story, swear to God it's true. Well, a night on the town, we took a turn to the south. When I started drinking that whiskey and running my mouth, I belly up to the bar, another round or two. That's when the gambler said, I got a bet for you. He gave us 7-1. You know we couldn't lose. So me us black and blue. Lord, I hope we don't wind up on drinking news. On drinking news. On drinking news. Mama, I hope I don't wind up on drinking news.
Minnie is the person who has said, and I quote, Mama, I hope I don't wind up on drinking news. Well, welcome to Drinking News for episode number 358 of Smoking and Toasting. You know, Disney has been in the news quite a bit. I told you I wish that that Docs was here today because Disney is, so...
Disney's the thing.
It's his thing, yeah. But they've been in the news quite a bit in 2023 for coming out in opposition to Florida's Don't Say Gay law, to the resulting skirmish with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, second time I've name-checked him on the show today, to the closing of some popular rides to make room for newer and flashier attractions. Now, I've never worked for Disney, but I know a number of people who have, and they have some restrictions that are, quite interesting, quite strict for their employees. Who, by the way, they don't call employees, they call them cast members at Disney. They're only allowed, for example, very basic jewelry, such as only one ring on each hand, or they're not permitted to have visible tattoos. And perhaps strangest of all, if you work in a Disney area and someone else in that particular area of the park already has your name, you are required to wear a name badge with a different name on it. So in other words, if I worked in, say, Fantasyland, and somebody else in Fantasyland who already worked there was named Cruz, then I might have been given a name tag that says, Clyde or
Jessica,
Bubba or Elmo, Sidebar, but speaking of names, my wife once worked with somebody who was a big fan of a particular TV show, and as a result, they named their son, after a character on the show, they named him Lucifer. Now, whatever you believe about the pointy-tailed guy or not, you have to admit, you're starting your kid off with a little bit of an obstacle in life, right? I mean, there's no doubt that some people will judge him by his name, and maybe outside of a few naughty girls who might think that's kind of hot, the reality is it will most likely work as a hindrance to him getting a job or being accepted into college or running for president. Can you imagine that? Lucifer and Jones, 2024. That'd be a hell of a bumper sticker,
Vote
right?
for Lucifer.
Yeah. If it were me, I'd name him something different, like,
Sue.
Mistopheles or Beelzebub or, but that's probably not important right now. Back to Disney. I've long believed, and had it secretly confirmed by some Disney park employees, by the way, that if you screw up, you forget to cover a tattoo or you wear too many rings, that Mickey himself punishes you by forcing you to work inside the It's a Small World ride for an extended period of time. Now, the ride itself, of course, is innocent enough, but I'm convinced that it's the It's a Small World song that plays over and over
That will
and
change
over
you.
again
Yes, that
on
will
the
change
ride.
you.
And it is, in fact, the most publicly performed song of all time. Google it. And it was actually written, I'm thinking, by Lucifer himself in an attempt to punish puny humans with the single worst earworm of all time. I'm not kidding. In fact, just by me mentioning it here, you're going to have that evil tune playing in your head until next Wednesday or Thursday, and it will be a true test of your sanity. You're welcome.
But I can picture the little old man that actually wrote it because I watched a documentary and his name's Richard Sherman. He's not Lucifer, but yes.
Wasn't he a cornerback for the Seahawks?
Yeah.
Perhaps it was a prolonged exposure to the It's a Small World song that triggered the person in our Drinking News story today. I can see where it could make you do things you might not ordinarily do, and perhaps this is the case because a California man added a unique and surprising element to the Small World ride recently when he left the traveling boat and began mingling with the animatronic dolls. And of course, he did what anyone would do in that situation. He stripped completely naked.
Oh,
Well, I mean-
no, kids, avert
You
your
don't, really
eyes.
have a choice at that point, right?
Oh,
what
boy.
else are you going to do?
Anaheim
Was it a
police-
small world after all?
Anaheim police report that the man walked around the ride in the buff, eerily lit in blue, orange, and pink lights, and got, quoting here, up close and personal, end quote, with some of the animatronic figures.
Wow.
I do not want to know exactly what they meant by that. A woman,
Show me on the doll where the animatronic touched it.
a woman named Ashley Esqueda posted to Twitter, which I still refuse to refer to as X. She posted, I am on Small World and there was a streaker. I cannot believe this is happening. One park goer took a video that shows the man fully naked and wading in the water near the ride's entrance as a worker approaches. His clothes were photographed sitting in a pile on the floor inside.
Wow.
The 26-year-old man was arrested for indecent exposure and being under the influence of a controlled substance. You think?
Wait. In Florida?
Had to be ecstasy. It's in California.
Oh, in California, yeah, maybe.
He was first
I was going to say, in Florida, it's definitely meth.
Right. He was first taken to a hospital as a precaution before being booked. Now, let me just say, witnessing something like this can be a bit traumatic. There were plenty of comments from the park goers on the ride, and despite the fact that literally no one has asked for this, we've compiled some of those for you in another ridiculous drinking news top 5 list. This would be the top 5 things overheard on the Small World ride. Top 5 things overheard on the Small
5 things.
Number 5.
I'm so out of tune right now.
Number 5, I didn't know one of the 7 dwarfs was named Horny. Number 4, son, it's about time you learned the facts of life. This is part of how animatronic dolls reproduce. Number 3, I know Disney refurbished this ride to make it more scientific, but I think including the elusive Andalusian trouser snake may have been a bit much. Number 2, they need to update the safety message. Obviously, it's not just your head and arms that you need to keep inside the boat. And the number 1 thing overheard on the Small World ride, number 1, apparently not everything on the It's a Small World ride is small. There you go.
Good for him.
Gosh. So out of tune.
Reporting live from the Small World attraction at Disneyland, where I'm just glad the song inside the ride isn't Don't Worry, Be Happy. See? I did it to you again. Evil earworm. You're welcome. My name is Cruz, and that is your
Drinking news. That's our time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all.
What would Joan Crawford think? She was the one who actually asked for that ride to be built for Pepsi.
No kidding.
Yeah, she actually
was first built for the World's Fair.
It was built for the World's Fair, and Pepsi was the sponsor, and she asked Walt Disney build a ride, and they went in and they built It's a Small World.
Okay, so
what would Joan Crawford think?
Let me just take a sidebar here.
And by the way, don't diss on Bobby McFerrin, dude. That dude's solid.
Yeah, but that song has got to go. I'm sorry. He can do anything else. Go for it. Yeah. No. And not having
You know, he's actually like a super accomplished jazz musician.
No, he's amazing.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
He is freaking amazing.
And everywhere he goes for the rest of his life, no one will sell him that.
I was just going to say, all of
don't.
this can still be true, and yet that song is evil and should be put to rest permanently. I just need to ask you a question, though, Ian, and I'm serious about this. Should we be concerned that our engineering producer seems to know a lot about the origin of the It's a Small World ride? Should this concern us? Should we sidebar here?
What if Docs was here?
Oh God! If only. Docs was
What
here.
are you wearing, by the way? I mean, what drink did you pour us?
During drinking news? I hope this got caught on the camera.
Yes,
Terry,
absolutely.
Chris was pouring our next.
So it turns out,
basically, it's just a video of the song with him working behind.
So he was using the conga.
One part of it worried me, though, as he was shaving right behind the thing like that. It was worrying me the way it might come across on the camera.
So yeah, he was using what he described as a conga to pour.
you just had to ask about the function. You couldn't just
over
accept it as a thermos. Turns out there's a difference in the seal between here.
What are we?
and here.
Yeah. So what are we tasting? The parts of which did not wind up.
Does
on
it
your
matter?
pants?
Do you know how sticky this guy is right now?
So this is a yearly tradition of mine. This is the bottle killer eggnog.
Wow.
This is actually quite delicious. It reminds me a
Holy
bit
crap.
of.
What is going on there?
Yeah, so
Chocolatey.
yeah, so this is based largely on Alton Brown's eggnog recipe, which is able to be aged for several years. I like it because it's very, very simple, very easy, and you can buy most of the components in like exactly what you need. So it's 12 egg yolks, and you beat those in a stand mixer with a pound of sugar. And then you add a pint each of whole milk, half and half, and heavy cream. And then he calls for like 8 ounces of like cognac, bourbon, other stuff. I just basically pour 8 ounces of like whatever is sitting around in my bar that I haven't finished for the year. So there's some cognac in here. There's some
bottle kill, basically.
Yeah, there's some American single malt.
So this reminds me a bit of a drink that I always enjoy getting in the islands, and my wife has learned to make at home and does a really fine job of, actually. That is a sort of a tropical tiki drink that's very much like this. It's called the Bushwhacker. You've had a Bushwhacker, right? This reminds me a lot of a Bushwhacker, except it's a little more.
You've made
slightly
that
more
for us.
eggnoggy. Yes.
Yeah. So this is the classic old school eggnog, egg yolk, sugar, dairy.
Right.
Yeah, and just every year I kind of whatever's just sitting around. I made this with Bourbon County one year. I just had a couple extra bottles, so I just poured those in here.
Have you had years where it was particularly like above average, and you went, "Oh, I got to make it with that again next year"?
This is freaking delicious.
No, because
It's wonderful.
every time I busted out at the holiday party, everybody has 6 glasses, and I don't remember what I put in it.
I mean, this
It really is delicious.
Yeah, so like
This is outrageous. I would slug this down so fast.
yeah, and like this is very easy to make at home, and literally just whatever you have around. So like I said, there's some American single malt, there's some cognac, there's some rum in here. I added some like chocolate and banana liqueurs that I had just because they sounded fun.
So what you're saying is that alcohol actually goes well with alcohol?
Yes, who would have
Amazing.
known?
Amazing.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, amazing. Well, we're just about out of time in this segment. Ian has already poured our final beer, but I think we're going to taste it in the final segment, as Father Time has his way of ending the segments whether we're done drinking or not. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be back. It's Smoking and Toasting, and this, by the way, what do you call this?
It's eggnog.
Just regular old
This is
Chris
just
Morris
this is
eggnog.
just proper
So good.
homemade
This is the
eggnog.
best eggnog I've ever had
This
in
is
my
what
life.
eggnog is supposed
It
to
is.
be, what it aspires to be. And even though half of it is on your pants, this is wonderful. We'll be right back at Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back at Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Chris Morris is our special guest today. He is our bartender extraordinaire, our cocktail master, and our cocktail expert. here on the
Wearer
program.
of eggnog.
I have to say, the eggnog he made, this is the best eggnog
It's
we've
so good.
ever had. It's so good.
It is.
But it's out of appreciation to you, Chris, for coming in and doing the show, that I'm not going to ask you to pour me more, because clearly that's been a big task.
Yeah, you can pour more. For
Okay,
yourself.
well, there we go.
I am clearly not capable of this simple task.
Oh, look, it can be done. Okay. There we go.
Maybe I shouldn't have had that second Holy Ghost.
Yeah, maybe. Who's responsible for that?
Remember that movie Cocktail? Well, it's like if the stuff was just spewing out while they were speaking. No,
This was one of the outtakes.
It's like if in Cocktail they had, instead of assigning Tom Cruise to the lead role, they'd gone with Bobcat Goldthwait. You know, that's what it's like. Sorry, can you imagine that Cocktail going everywhere?
That's amazing.
Score 1 for the Bobcat Goldthwait reference today. Ian has poured us our final beer.
That
here,
was dangerously close coming out of my nose.
which would have just been a perfect cap to the show, wouldn't it?
That would have been amazing.
So Ian has poured us Real Ale's Quadrupel Ale. It is
Black
called Black
Quad.
Quad. You've had this before. Real Ale, by the way, is a
I buy this all the time.
very good brewery out of Blanco, Texas.
But here's the thing. I know you can get it in 12-ounce bottles now.
Mm-hmm.
I still buy it in bombers.
Oh.
Because the bomber is $5 or less than $5.
You know, it reminds me of back when, remember when you used to be able to get St. Arnold's sour?
Boiler Room.
Boiler Room. We got it at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like $4.95 for a bomber. Remember that?
Yeah.
It goes with the. Right now, I totally
And
sound
then they
like.
did the raspberry AF.
Yeah,
And that was like
yeah.
$5 a bomber.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was so good.
So, but right now, I totally sound like like a grandpa going, "Yeah, remember when we were kids and you could get a stick of bubble gum and a baseball card, and it was only 5 cents."
Used to wear an onion on my belt because that was the style at the time. Working in
is
the
a
hill country
wonderful
from
beer.
a foundation of time-honored brewing tradition, Real Ale believes in minimal processing produces maximum flavor. They have a beautiful
facility,
brewery out
yeah.
there. Yes, it's so beautiful out there. It says subtly sweet with a delicious dark complexity, Trappist-inspired ale. Join us in paying tribute to the monastic brewing tradition.
It is totally a Trappist-style ale, that's for sure.
It is so good.
It is really
It's
delicious.
also coming in at a paltry 10.5%.
Yeah, that's the reason I saved it for the last beer. Although I think the IPA may have been almost as big, but
I was about to say, I think literally the Holy Coast was thicker than this.
may have been.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a go-to for me. Like, this is one that I buy on a regular basis. They have a black quad, and they have another one in the bombers that I buy all the time. Real Ale is just, it's hard to get anything bad from them. Like,
Yeah, these guys really know what's going on. They've had good beers really since, and I these guys have been around for a little while. They're not like one of the oldest craft breweries, but they're not a newbie either. These guys have been around for a while, and they make they make a great pale ale. They make just
the Fireman's Four,
Yeah, the Fireman's Four is
the blonde
wonderful.
ale, yeah.
Their Goza's quite exceptional.
Yeah,
Yes.
it really is.
Like-
Everything I've had from them has been really good.
What was the one that had it was the one that had the Back to the Future looking label on it.
Yeah,
Was a pale ale. It's really like all their stuff's
Yeah, like this doesn't have that
Cruising,
that,
that's
that
what they call it.
huge Belgian candy spiciness of like an actual Trappist quad, but like for the price, this is really, really hard to beat for
Yeah,
what it
it's
is.
just a good
100%.
beer.
100%. Well, I want to thank you, Chris Morris, for coming on the show, for being willing to sacrifice your clothing for the product here. And these, honestly, the eggnog is fantastic. The drink earlier, the Manhattan, was just unbelievable. Like, it was really, really good.
I'm
So
just
begin
gonna say,
to
you look like
understand.
you murdered a giant Cadbury cream egg.
I would.
And as if none of that was enough, he has a stirring stick that
That's
looks
called
like
a
a
bar spoon.
cobra, a
Yes.
bar spoon that looks like a cobra, and you got to love that. That is just absolutely wonderful. Chris, thank you for doing this, for doing holiday cocktails for us. It's absolutely a pleasure to have you on the program, and we want you to know you're invited anytime, whether we've specifically invited you or not. Feel free.
I mean, you have
to
the door
pod
code.
crash. Yeah, you have the door code, so feel free to pod crash. Coming up on the program next week is our Christmas show. Our former studio producer and now our kind of executive producer, Adam in the Cloud, will join us in studio. We'll tell Christmas stories. We'll drink Christmas beers. It's going to be just a sort of a Christmas holiday free-for-all on next week's show. And then the week after that, our wine expert, Mark Burrell, will join us to talk bubbly for New Year's.
My sister and brother-in-law just went and saw him the other night.
Saw Mr. Burrell?
Yes.
Yeah, he's always fun to visit. And then coming up after that, our end of the year or beginning of the year wrap-up show, Ian and I will talk about the best cigars of the year, and we're going to be doing that show on location from the famous front porch of Jim Heim, who guest hosted the show with me while Ian was out recently. So it'll be that's going to be fun. You're going to love smoking cigars on Jim's front porch.
That sounds awesome.
They call it the famous front porch for a reason. So looking forward to the great holiday season with you. Join us next week for our Christmas show. Until we meet again, my fine feathered friends, it's Cruz and Ian and Chris Morris and our engineering producer Terry saying
Cheers, y'all.
You don't